Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about last week then. How were you doing last week?
So last week was a very stressful week for me, and at this age I started getting pimples and I was so stressed out. I've eaten more cake and chocolates like never ever before. So yeah, but today if you ask me, I am thrilled, chilled and very, very happy.
But then having cake and chocolate, it's always fine to treat yourself sometimes, especially when you're so good looking. You can always treat yourself.
Thank you.
So, this goes without saying, but of course I have to mention this, that I'm speaking to one of the most powerful ladies here, and I feel so proud to be having the opportunity to speak to you. Tell me, how do you feel when you looked as an inspiration, you looked as someone who's powerful, who's leading? How do you like to, be called like that? How do you find it?
I only thought I was God when I was actually doing Big Boss. Because, you are sitting in a room and deciding what they should do and the chores. That's the only time. Otherwise, I'm just a normal person. Happy to be able to contribute in the content industry. And I think where I come from, I like to make shows that have some sort of a message in it. So I don't like to make movies or shows that are just regular shows. So I love that. And that's what interests me. So yeah, so I feel like especially for women's stories are very fascinating for me, and I love to tell all kinds of women's stories.
Also, every kind of content that you've brought up to a specific channel, not to put them down, but then you've always lifted the channel up with stuff that you bring to them. How does your thought process work? From where does these ideas come in?
So I can work something on my life, and I'm pretty old, but I'm just saying that, when in my time, there were many of the issues that most women or, youngsters see today. We never had that in our time. Okay. So basically what I try to do is get the old age ideas and the new ideas and sort of merge them. I also came from like a home in South Mumbai when none of the actual shows that I do were ever an issue. Like if you see my shows, whether it's Saat Fere or Betiya or Balika Vadhu and those ones, I found the subject so fascinating, but I never had any knowledge of them when I was growing up. So basically, subjects of women, which I see in the society, sort of fascinate me because that's not something how we grew up. So, I find them very fascinating. So I like to choose subjects that sort of seem unique but are yet universal, and, try to make sort of underdogs into stronger women. Yeah.
So is it more of a thought process, or is it more of observing people around and seeing what things are?
Most people joke not to be seen with me because I'll probably make a story about them. So I observe people all the time. I am always looking out because I don't have any such story. My story is pretty boring, so I don't have any such story. But I love to look around, figure out what the woman is thinking, then try to get into her mind and make stories out of them. So yeah, you have to be careful on stories or hanging out around me.
But then, picking such stories, people around the world that, we wouldn't even really be aware of until we saw your content. This already makes your life a beautiful one, and we would want to thank you for bringing all of this on the platform. Also, tell me about Masaba Masaba, because I have interviewed Neena ma'am, and I think she's a wonderful person. I still have to interview Masaba. How did you think of bringing them as themselves and, the real of them on camera? How did this idea come up now?
So basically, I was doing a film I was writing a film. I was sitting with a team on a biopic that I was working on. And there were so many restrictions from the family on you can't show this, you can't show that. And, everything had to be goody, and you can't show the flaws in the person.
Yeah.
So I was like, there isn't a great story if you don't show the flaws. But we as human beings, when we go to make a story on someone, we only want to highlight the good points. But according to me, there is no graph if there's no bad points. And we're all human. We all have flaws. So, very few people have the courage to kind of put their flaws or the mess in their life out there. So I was like, so that's how the idea came across. What if I make a show where the person plays himself or herself? Basically, So then I don't have to listen to, oh, you can't write this, you can't write that, and then you get to see a person the way they actually are. So I had this idea for I think 2 years ago, and I was just thinking about who this person could be, because I was very sure Bollywood mein se to koi nahi, but because you have to show there's a big wall and a mask in Bollywood, I feel. So I had to take somebody who's a celeb, but still not a part of Bollywood, but is in the peripheral. So I used to follow Masaba, on Instagram, and her stories, if you saw, were a story by itself. And so every time I saw her post, the story started forming in my head. And so I realized that Masaba is the woman that I want to kind of make this show on. And I just wasn't sure she'd be open for something, because she's a very successful businesswoman. She has a fashion empire, and I wasn't sure that she would want to do something like this. So I knew her, so I called her up and I said, I have a show for you. Let's meet up. And when I met up, she was so amazed at the idea, because she thought I'd come up with a typical, chat show where she's the host and she's asking people what they think on fashion and things like that. So she loved the idea and she understood it, because after that, not many people understood what I was trying to make. So Masaba understood, Neena ji understood, but the others didn't. So I had a tough time after that trying to get people to understand what I want to make. So while it was clear in my head, I had a tough time convincing people what I was doing. So yeah.
Then I totally agree with you, because when you show the flaws and when you show the graph, like you just said, it makes it more realistic and relatable, because nobody has a perfect life. So as a viewer, all of this does get relatable, and I mean, there's a classy set of audience who understand this kind of content. Okay, tell me, like now that I'm talking to a powerful woman, I'm going to make sure that I learn as much as I can. How do you define the new age women, like all of us? How do you define how we think and how we are today?
I think today, if you see, a woman is in control of her choices. Most of the women, especially in India, I've seen, especially in the urban, I can't say the same for across India, but, in urban cities, women know what they want and they're going out of their way to achieve what they want to. Some years back, that wasn't even possible for most of them. So I feel today what's great is women have the freedom to choose. And I think that is really important, because so many people, across the world, not just India, don't even have that choice. So the fact that we are able to choose of what we want, whatever it is, if we can choose and make our own choices, and I think then we're totally liberated. So we have to get there. And, shows like this kind of inspire other women to recognize their inner thoughts and to come in terms of, oh, if she can do it, why can't I? Or if Masaba was such a mess and she came out of the mess, I can do it too. So I had, in fact, a lot of calls over this weekend saying women who were, some of them were down in the lockdown. It's a tough time for all of us. So they're saying they were so down and depressed. And the minute they saw Masaba, they said, no, let's pull up our socks and go back. And, put a hella chin high and just move on. So it inspires, and that's what it's all about.
Wow. I'm also going to pick up a segment right now, and it's called What If. So it's going to have some kind of random questions, but we'll also know a little more about how you think and how you are. Okay?
That's a dangerous thing. I think it's something. I hope there's a pause button on yours.
Yeah, there is, but then it's going to be fun. Trust me. Okay. So tell me, what if one day you wake up and you realize that you've woken up as an opposite sex, you're a man. How would you react and what would you do?
I think I'll be cleaner than most men are. And, I'll respect women more. But I think, again, in that, the younger generation are respectful. I think the generation in between is somewhere lost.
Yeah, I agree to that totally. Okay, tell me, what if you get a chance, you get the power to read one particular personality's mind completely? Who would that be?
I think it would be Putin.
Also, if you one day just walk around the streets and find a bag full of $500 million, and what is the first thing that you would think of when you find that bag?
If no one's watching, I would take it and open a Swiss bank account.
Wow. Yeah,
But if
that's
somebody is watching, then I will return it to the person.
but what if that's really cool. Okay, so let me think of something cooler. What if you get a chance to go back in the past and change a particular scenario? Which scenario would that be?
World War II.
No wonder why you're so cool. I like your answer.
I totally connect with World War and the human stories out there. I mean, they always touch me. I've always cried in all the movies that portray World War, all the books that I've read on World War. I've only cried. So
Hmm.
yeah. So
Hmm. And if you had the power to change one thing in the current scenario, I mean, in the current situation, in any one thing in mankind, what would that be?
I think the boundaries that we've created in terms of everything, I think if those boundaries could just go away, whether it's the religion boundaries or the gender boundaries or even the countries. I mean, if we can just forget the boundaries, and even if we do that for some time, just forget all the political differences, forget all the religious differences, and live as humankind, I think that's something I would love to change in the world. Because all the problems arise because of these boundaries, is what I think. So if the boundaries could just go away, even if it's for some time, at least if we can see what the world can be with this change, would be great.
You know, I'm just asking you this question because it's been going on in my mind since a long time, because I keep reading these posts and videos on Instagram, YouTube. I see people writing hashtag boycott Bollywood, boycott Bollywood. So it scares me. What if it just shuts down? How do you look at all of this? What do you think is going to happen? And why are people just doing that? Just because of one person, you can't just keep punishing the whole entire world, right? So how do you see that?
I just think because right now they're emotional, and I'm sure the case has been, close to being solved. So
Yeah.
once it's all out there, I think they would see it in a different light. Right now, it's because it's just emotions,
Okay.
but that's okay. I mean, emotions is something that we can't help. So it's emotions, but I think that should be sorted very soon.
So things will bounce back, you believe, right? So you believe things will bounce back, right? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's a positive
I'm hoping the
answer.
theaters open.
Yeah. 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 So
Yeah, but tenants opening to such big numbers on the weekend over the world, I think has given us a lot of hopes. So I know
yeah.
the cases are on the rise, but once the cases are a little down, I think we should, aim at opening the theaters, because it's not just the stars or something. When there's a whole lot of industry out there.
Right.
There are from spot boys to a whole lot of them who are just waiting for everything to start again. So yeah, there's a whole lot of people there.
So my last question is going to be something that had to be my first question, but it's okay. I want to know, how has these 6 annoying months, like, annoying for me, but then I don't know how is it for you. How did these 6 months go in this lockdown, in this pandemic? With yourself, how did it go?
Okay, so I have to admit, okay, and this is the honest truth, is that I had thoroughly enjoyed myself. I know that, when I tell most people this, they get annoyed with me, but I have enjoyed myself, perhaps because, I've just been working for 27 years and I've never had the break. So I felt like this was a refreshing break to be at home with family and to spend time. And I also got to learn a few new things. Okay, so it's a little embarrassing. I may not get out of that, but I got myself to learn new things. So for me, it was just fine because I didn't think I was a person who could stay at home for too long, but I did, and that's a good thing that I've discovered about myself.
So now that you just said it, I'm going to ask you, what are the new things that you learned? It'd probably be a good tip for me. I would also go ahead and do something like that than just say that it was boring.
Okay, so I have a cook who doesn't like me in the kitchen at all. Every time I've gone in the kitchen, he tries to get me out of the kitchen. So I have actually started baking, which is I figured everyone is doing. The other thing I like, what I'm doing is learning French. So there was this. So I wanted to learn a foreign language, and I had a bit of it in college. So I've started on this app and I've been learning French. So yeah, French is something I'm learning. I need to learn cycling. Yeah, I don't know how to cycle,
What?
which is probably
Really?
I don't know how to cycle.
That's probably the only thing I know to do.
So I can't cycle, and I've been dying to learn. And yeah, so maybe I'll learn that as well once the rains go slightly better.
I'm sure you
Maybe in
will.
the car basement or something. Yeah, but cycling is something I have to learn.
I'm sure
Like
you
I
will.
know when
It's
I
fun.
go on these trips, on my foreign trips, my husband and my son go cycling, and I'm sitting watching ducks by the pond or something.
The
Yeah,
food.
I have to learn that. Yeah.
So I'm sure by the next time I come to interview you again, you would be on your
Yeah,
cycle.
we could do a cycle interview. Yeah.
Absolutely, that sounds fun. We should see content creator right here giving me ideas. So this is lovely. So in closure, I would want you to send out a message for people who are not going through a really good time nowadays, and who would probably watch this video and get an idea of how to keep yourself lifted. What would you say to the audiences?
See, things are tough. I'm not denying that. They're tough for everybody, and the lockdown has affected people in different ways. Some, emotionally, some, physically, some are locked in places, can't visit their parents. I think, but we all are in together. So I think it's just hang in there and we'll all come out of it all well and soon. Soon. I can see that happening, things opening up and on. So it's going to be better very soon. So hang in there.
How cool. Okay, so before I say bye, when are we meeting again? What's coming up? When do I get a chance to come and interview you again? I mean, not on Zoom actually. I miss real ones.
Yeah. Yeah. So the cycle one will happen. I'll get the one with those two side tracks like Phoebe has in Friends. I'm going to get a cycle like that and we'll do one interview.
Super, super. So hoping to see you soon. And it was really
Awesome.
lovely speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. See you soon. All the best. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.